Hey, Michael, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here, and we're ready to get this conversation rolling. How does it feel to be
Yeah,
Michael today?
it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. Yeah, I had a interesting patient this morning, so care before this, but yeah, I'm excited to chat.
So interesting piece about that. And I just talked briefly before we came on about shifting gears, and something
Yeah,
that a lot of us on the outside of the medical world uh, don't see or don't get to experience. I mean, you may go from room to room if you're in a clinic, but here, going on a home visit may be a little different. But you literally have to change gears, and you
yeah,
have to pick up from what could be maybe the worst scenario to some going into an opportunity to help somebody in a different way. So,
yeah.
how much stress does that create in your life?
Yeah, earlier on a lot, and even still now, still quite a bit, but over the years gotten better at finding ways to sort of off-put some of that stress. So thinking through like compartmentalizing to some degree, but not so much so that you depersonalize any of those interactions. But at the same time, really just focusing on self-care afterwards. So like
Mm-hmm.
exercise is a huge stress relief for me. I know on weeks when I'm not getting too much exercise, I can feel it. But yeah, making sure that I'm taking care of myself outside of those interactions. And I think using the positive, the good interactions, the good outcomes to kind of drive you to through that next experience
Yeah.
has helped.
So, talking about getting personal here, tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about your medical journey so far, where you started and where you're at.
Yeah, interesting one, I'll say. So I knew I wanted to do pediatric medicine from the beginning. I fell in love with pediatric cancer from the start. I went down to a cancer camp down at Cincinnati Children's. I saw the patient population there. I'm like, wow, these kids are really sick, but they're out here having fun in the summertime. Like, this is amazing. I want to be part of this. So that passion kind of drove me through medical school and through residency. We had our first child, who's now 6. We had him right at the end of residency. I had matched into pediatric //HEMONC down at St. Jude. Wonderful place. My wife and I had the discussion, kind of applying for fellowship, of like, is this still something we want to do? The answer was yes. So we proceeded with that. Shortly after starting, we had a death in the family and some pretty major family health issues. Being 13 hours away with the 1-year-old, I'm like, my son needs to be able to know his grandparents, know his cousins.
Mhm.
So it didn't feel right. So pivoted a bit back to just general pediatrics, which brought me back to Northeast Ohio. I signed on with one of the bigger hospitals up here in one of their outpatient clinics. It was great until it wasn't. So 18 months in, just getting burdened with 30 to 40 patients a day during sick season, RSV, whatever else is going around. I just got so burnt out with not being able to provide the care that I truly felt I wanted to as a pediatrician for my families because of the constraints with insurance-based repayment. Um, Around that time, the person who hired me for that job had pivoted to start a direct pediatric care network, the first pediatric direct primary care network in the country. I reached out to him. He pitched it to me. I'm like, this sounds amazing. Like, why is this a newer thing? And why hasn't this been such a thing for so long? And I've absolutely fell in love with that. It's been a little over 2 years now. Doing that home visit, as we had talked about before, that's the beauty of direct pediatric care is we can meet families where they're at. There's no billing of insurance, so I don't need to bring patients into the office to take care of them the way that an insurance company dictates. I really deliver the care that I best see fit and meet that with the family's needs too. So when our families sign up, they get 24/7 direct access to me, texting, calling, emailing, anytime, day or night. We do home visits. We have support services included, lactation supports, psychologists, sleep specialists, nutritionists. It's more of a kind of whole child, holistic kind of approach to care. And it just feels right. My parents had, I think they had a lot kind of somewhere where we grew up that didn't end up doing anything with. They were planning on selling it. Some developers were planning on coming, but outside of that, not too much. Um, yeah, so I utilize the physician loans for all of our purchases. Just
Hmm.
being a resident, don't have a whole lot of back money to be able just to drop on a down payment.
Yep.
So without that, I wouldn't have been able to purchase any of the homes that we have or
Yeah.
had or have. But yeah, not a whole lot of investing. I know I would love to get into it more once
Yeah.
things stabilize, but not
Yeah.
quite there yet.
So, tell me a little bit about what that means then. When you say you would love to get into it more, what are
Yeah.
the things that are going through your mind right now?
Yeah, paying down student loans. So all these high
Hmm.
interest loans that we had picked up kind of along the way, making sure we can pay those off first, and then with some of the disposable income or investment income that we have, potentially looking into buying a condo, having that kind of recurrent monthly payment. Someone's renting out from us. I'm relatively handy. My dad was a bricklayer. I did some carpentry work, some electrical stuff. So I feel like I'm handy enough to be able to manage some of these things. Obviously, knowing when I don't know something, need to reach out for help. But I think having that understanding, it's less frightening going into potentially, buying one of these places to then rent out if I can fix up some of the stuff myself.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think again, probably a decent bit in the future, but thinking through area, I feel like is a big one. So East Cleveland, kind of where we are, a little bit further east, bigger hospital systems there. I went to Case Western, which is in a great part of like University Circle there in Cleveland. It seems to be a happening area with a lot of rotating people, like
Hmm.
different residents coming in. So I think finding an area like that where there's a lot of foot traffic, weighing out, safety, I think is probably a bigger issue too. But at least my local area, I feel like that would be a pretty decent hotspot, just given what I had mentioned there.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I'm not drilling down on you at all of this. I just
Yeah.
love picking up
What
because I
street do
love
I going to be on? Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
like sharing because your journey is not this particular piece getting
Sure.
into real estate is not different than so many others that are listening to the show.
Yeah.
So I love sharing that piece to see, hey, where are we starting from and
Sure.
how can we help each other out? So that's why I love drilling into the thought base here.
Yeah.
Interesting. So in Ohio, I like the idea of going, somewhat in your backyard, so that way you know the area. Yes, the
Yeah.
area is super important because let's bounce back to Memphis one time.
Yeah.
If I can literally be 2 blocks over and be uncomfortable, right? And that affects the rental base, that affects the price, that affects
Sure.
everything. So if you're in your backyard, especially when you're starting, it's a great place to come up with. And you know what? So I've got a real estate acquisition company as well. And we're doing one in Dayton, Ohio,
Mm.
where we are wholesaling and making a great fee on it. And and then the flipper is also going to be making a great return on the flip. And when I think about Dayton, I don't think like, hey, that's a great market to flip in, but
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
about the little neighborhood that you're in,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So great thought on knowing maybe staying in your backyard just to get started.
My wife actually just quit working, so right now we're it's a bit of a tumultuous time, but we're stable enough for that to have happened, and I'm so grateful. We have three small kids. 5 years down the line, potentially adding another one at some point here, but we'll have to get back to you on that one if
Yeah.
that's actually in our
The
future.
three have to behave first.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
days I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
can't do it. No, I would like to be in a place where not worried. We're not necessarily paycheck to paycheck, but we have some pretty decent expenses. Again, we bought in a nice area. Childcare in school is super expensive, as I'm sure you
Hmm.
know. It'd be nice to be in a place where we have income coming in from outside or revenue coming in from things outside of work. So
Hmm.
investments would be great. Building up our 401ks, SEP IRA, just based on how my structure with my company is, being able to shuffle enough money into there, thinking through retirement at some point. But 5 years, realistically, depending on how things go, that could definitely be a time where we're looking at properties. My partners in our company have plenty of rental properties, and just talking with them about the benefits of having some of that kind of recurring revenue income. It seems like something I would love to get into in 5 years. I think would be a reasonable time point. Zest proper is a management service organization, so we all function under our own LLCs. So my practice is my practice now,
Nice.
and it's nice being able to have the support from my group, but also the financial support to set up our office for us. Manage. There's not a whole lot of overhead because it's just physicians and patients, so there's not a lot of like day-to-day expenses. So it's nice now functioning on my own and being able to dictate my own schedule.
Hmm.
Like knowing when my kids are getting into more sports, like growing up, because my wife and I are both very into athletics. Our kids are super excited about it, given that mom and dad did it. Being able to shift a patient here or there if I need to be able to make it to a meet or something.
Hmm.
And given the close relationships that we have with our families, they know us as a human, not as just somebody they see once a year. They're texting with us all the time. So we have a better relationship with them. It's much easier to flip things around if need be. Like I said at the beginning, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely recommend it for any physician who is feeling a little burnout. Yeah.